You guys know there's a lot of Final Fantasy 14 news going around. There's a lot of talks about the expansion and everything like that. But Yoshida actually came out and said that he wants pitches for, and he's kind of being serious about this, but also kind of joking. All depends. I don't think he's joking, though, because he said shit like this before, and he ends up following through, believe it or not. But this is different. Final Fantasy 14 director wants pitches for a single-player spinoff of Final Fantasy 14. What do you guys think about that? I want to know what you think about that. Imagine if they started making single-player Final Fantasy spinoffs of their most popular Final Fantasy MMORPGs. Because I'll tell you right now, if they had a single-player story of Final Fantasy 11, I would be down for that. 14, maybe not. Well, maybe if you go, so maybe if you skip Dawn Trail. Maybe if you skip Dawn Trail, you know? Yamato says, wasn't that already done with 12? No, like he's basically saying spin-off of this, like take the story within the online game and make it into a single-player Final Fantasy game. You know? Ideas are drying up, huh? Yeah, seriously. Well, here's the thing, man. Final Fantasy 11 has one of the best stories in any Final Fantasy that I've played. It's just sad because it's locked behind online content, which, I mean, it's not sad for the people playing it because obviously I played it, but it's sad for the people that play. I mean, there is way more people that play single-player Final Fantasy than there is online. Even though they try to be like, we have 35 million registered accounts. Shut the fuck up. You know how many of that's free trials? Come on, let's be real. Dawn Trail never happened. Yeah, it never happened. So can you imagine if we had a single player Final Fantasy 11, like what that would even look like? I would love it, bro. I would love it if they had a single player Final Fantasy 11 that was based in the Chains of Permalia storyline. I still genuinely believe that Chains of Permalia was one of the best expansions I've ever played in my fucking life. In any MMORPG I've ever touched, Chains of Permalia was by far one of the best. Like light years. All the way from the intro of the expansion with Bahamut in the fucking ocean, splitting the ocean and talking to the entire server, and he's like, the world ender is coming or some shit like that. It was fucking insane. It was epic. All the way down to the final battle with Permalia and everything like that. I think that would be that. Just like the story was fucking sick. I think that would be amazing. Final Fantasy 14 Woke Lamont. Oh, stop! Why would you even do that? Why would you do that? If someone's passionate enough to want to helm that sort of project, we will love to hear from you. Who wants to do it? Who wants to do it? You get your own cat girl if you, you get your own cat girl. You get your own Mikote. Despite the massively multiplayer angle, MMORPGs can be quite lonely games. Yeah, that's because you know why MMORPGs are lonely? It's because casual fucks complained about not being able to do the content that the social people were doing. They wanted to be anti-social, but they wanted to have all the content that the non-anti-social people were doing. So then developers listen and they're like, hey, yeah, we'll make all this content for you that requires no grouping whatsoever. And that's totally going to make you want to group up with other people. Never happened. All it did was separate the players to the point where nobody even wants to say hello to each other in the chat anymore. They just run past each other. You know? It's fucking sad. Because, dude, I remember back in the day, man, playing Final Fantasy 11. I say hi to everybody. Bro. If I'm running past Juno and I see two Tarus, I'll be like, hey, motherfuckers. I was like, hey, motherfuckers, what's going on? And then I'll end up in fucking game master jail anyway. So apparently, he said as much during the weekend's fan festival after he was asked if he thought about making a single player version or spinoff of Final Fantasy 14 for players who don't care to play a Final Fantasy game wrapped up in the MMO trappings that define 14. Can you imagine? Okay, we're gonna go real crazy with this. Okay, can you imagine a Final Fantasy 11 style video game with the story and everything? Can you imagine that? But in a world and gameplay like Crimson Desert. Oh, now we are cooking. Now we are cooking. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine it? Think about it. Crimson Desert style gameplay. Okay. Crimson Desert style gameplay. Well, I mean, let's be fair. Final Fantasy style gameplay, right? Because I want Final Fantasy gameplay. I don't want Crimson Desert with a Final Fantasy skin. But I'm talking about the open worldness, right? The open worldness of Crimson Desert, the customization of Crimson Desert, the combat and magic of Final Fantasy with the job system and everything, but with the open world of Crimson Desert. But place it inside the world of Vanadil, and I think you have something. I'm just saying. I think you have something. But in any case, there's still a lot of people out there who look at online Final Fantasy and they say, well, an online Final Fantasy isn't a real Final Fantasy. That's not true. That's not true. He said via translation, well, I do love to consider making a standalone Final Fantasy 14. Unfortunately, the only team that can make a standalone 14, the best standalone Final Fantasy 14, is the current Final Fantasy 14 team. If we ever retire from Final Fantasy 14 Online, maybe we could do it as our work after retirement. Yeah, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. But that would be cool, though. That would be pretty sick. I do like the idea, man. I think there's a lot of untapped potential there. But the thing is, if you make a spinoff of Final Fantasy 14 as a single player game, well, then you're going to have people that are just going to want to go play that. And these online games, they live or die by the amount of players that they have. So the last thing they want to do is incentivize other people to leave the MMORPG and to go play the single player game. They want you grinding out the main story quest. They want you playing the actual MMO and logging hours into it and getting addicted to it. Like they want you to rely on that. Yeah, they don't want you to go play the single player game. Tenebrae says, dumb question. Were there 13 other fantasies that were final? Yes. Yes. Well, see, the thing is, Final Fantasy was the last ditch game before the company was going to go bankrupt, right? So like that's why it was called Final Fantasy. It was the last ditch game before the company was going to go bankrupt. And ironically, Final Fantasy ended up becoming successful, saving the company. So, but the name stuck around, right? So they also called it Final Fantasy because every story is final. Well, at least until they started doing sequels, then well, there goes that, right? But the idea was that it was going to be a self-contained story from beginning to end, the Final Fantasy of its own story. But yes, Final Fantasy, the original one, was supposed to be the last ditch attempt for the company before it died. But then ironically, it saved the company, and well, there you go. So that's why it was called Final Fantasy. The point would be to get people who never bothered to play 14 not to siphon those that do. Yes, but I think unironically, it would end up siphoning more players than bringing in new ones. I do. Unless they end up going the route that ends up bringing older players back. Like if they make it turn-based or something, then that's also an idea. You know, I just want to actually, since we're talking about that, can we just felt Square Enix real quick? Because I feel like this needs to be said. Hold on. This needs to be said. Because these motherfuckers, bro. If you guys are not aware, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, by all means. I believe it was Square Enix that said that turn-based video games, nobody wants turn-based video games anymore. That they don't sell anymore. Right? Is that am I fair to say that? Did I talk about Blizzard yet? No, not yet. I'm going to. So, guys. Square Enix said that turn-based video games do not sell anymore. This is why Square Enix ended up going action combat with their Final Fantasy series. Okay? They said, and by they, it was like one or two developers, whatever. The point is, there are people that work at Square Enix that think that turn-based video games do not sell anymore. And I'm so fucking sick of this bullshit. Okay? I really am. Because there are ways to make turn-based interesting past the simple concept of turn-based. Right? Because Expedition 33 did exactly that, right? Expedition 33 had people playing the game that weren't even fans of turn-based video games. Like Kata, for example. Kata does not like turn-based video games. And he loved Expedition 33. Right? Same thing with Atreus. Right? Super casual guys, always play action games, not really into turn-based video games. They loved Expedition 33. Now, Expedition 33 is not the first one to ever have a parry system with their turn-based combat, but the point is, it was the whole package. Right? It was the whole package. It was the storyline, the combat, the world exploration, the fact that you had a world map. Right? You had a world map in Expedition 33. Something that you had in all the other Final Fantasies in the PS1 era. Yeah, you had a world map. Something to explore, to find secrets in, and all this shit. You know? Expedition 33 sold 8 million copies worldwide. 8 million. 8 million. Just to give you guys an idea. Hold on one second. Just to give you guys an idea, because this shit is crazy. How many copies of Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Rebirth have sold in total worldwide? Let's see. Let's see, out of curiosity. So, you guys ready for this? Based on publicly available figures, okay? You have Final Fantasy 16 that has sold 3 to 3.5 million copies worldwide. Okay? You have Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Integrate. Keep in mind, so it's Remake and Integrate together as one. 8 million copies worldwide across all platforms, PS4, PS5, and PC. So that's a big one. You want to know why? Because it was a bait and switch. That's the reason why. Final Fantasy 7, and I've said this so many times, and I know there are people that love the remakes, and that's fine. You could love the remakes. It's all good. But you're not going to sit there and pretend like the first one didn't sell like hotcakes because people had a preconceived notion about it. And then once they find out what it was, the sales completely dropped in comparison. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has sold anywhere between 3 to 4 million copies worldwide. So it sold half of what the first game sold, Remake. Okay? So Expedition 33 has sold more than Final Fantasy 16 and Rebirth combined. Which is nauseating, by the way. It is fucking nauseating. The fact that we live in a world where Final Fantasy is getting felted by the fucking French, making a better Final Fantasy than the people who are actually in charge of Final Fantasy is fucking disgusting. It really is like disgusting. I'm sorry. It is just like I don't ever want to hear this bullshit about turn-based video games don't sell, whatever. Like I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that shit. That's cope. Final Fantasy needs to go back to its roots. And I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be turn-based combat, because there are other things that are missing from Final Fantasy right now that go well past turn-based combat. All right? Turn-based combat, yeah, of course. I would want to see it come back. I would love to see an Expedition 33 style combat system in Final Fantasy 17. I'm being real with you. Straight up. I would love to see that. Are we going to get it? Probably not. But I would love to see that. But what I also would love to see is for them to go back to the fucking roots of the game, as I've said so many times, which is bring back a party system. Bring back interesting party members that actually matter to the whole fucking story. You want to know why I love Final Fantasy 9? You want to know why Final Fantasy 9 is my favorite above 8 and above 7? You want to know why? It's because every character that you were introduced to that actually, like, every character fucking mattered. Every single one. And throughout the game, every character was having their storylines told completely from beginning to end and wrapped up properly. At the end of the game, they wrapped up everybody's storyline. You saw the ending of everybody's arc. It was amazing. It really was. So they need to go back to bringing a party system. They need to go back to bringing back characters that actually matter, that are interesting, that are equally as important as the main character. They need to go back to that, right? To be real with you, I cared about Vivi more than I cared about fucking Zidane. Got to be honest with you. And Zidane's supposed to be the main character. That's how good it was. You know? They need to go back to that. They also need to go back to bringing back all the quintessential things that make somebody say, ooh, when they're playing a Final Fantasy game because they know it to be Final Fantasy. Bring back summons. Bring back summons. Stop being a bitch. Bring back summons that have like 3-minute long cutscenes. I don't give a fuck. Bring it back. I wanna sit there and be able to eat dinner from beginning to end, and Night to the Round is still not done playing out. That's what I want. I'm kidding, but no, seriously, like I want. That's what I want. Bring back summons, make them epic again, right? Make them feel epic again, or if you want to call them eidolons, whatever the fuck you want, I don't give a shit. Like, bring it back, bring that back. I want that. 15 and 16 have all been about summons. Yes, but the ghetto, like 15's version of summons were so fucking ghetto. It was unbelievable. And in 16, the summon battles were cool, but you couldn't actually summon. Like, that's what I'm telling you. Like, bring back summons the way that they were. The way they were, like, was actually interesting. Bring that back. In Final Fantasy 15, what? You're fighting around, you zip it around as a fucking K-pop star with crystal powers, and then all of a sudden, every once in a while, you'll get the ability to summon a summon. Oh wow! You press the X button when nature starts telling you to. Oh, there's some lightning. Let's summon Ramu. Oh, okay, cool. He's gonna throw a lightning bolt. He's gonna throw a lightning bolt and kill everything. Oh, that's cool. That's great. Fantastic. Like, what, bro? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. It's so gay. Bring back epic summons, right? Bring back the summons that people realize. Shiva, Ifrit, Quetzalcoatl, what else? Fucking Titan, Odin, right? Bahamut, fucking Neo Bahamut, or whatever the fuck his name was. Like, bring that back. You know, bring back that shit. Bring back the mystery. Yeah, Alexander too, exactly. Bring back the mystery. Right? Bring back the mystery of Final Fantasy 2. You should be able to bring that back. I should be able to explore the world map, find these dungeons that have secret bosses. Come to find out, if you beat one of them, you get a summon. I would love if I could explore a world map and all of a sudden I find this like snow peak, and I'm exploring the snow peak, going through the dungeon, and at the very end, guess who you got to fight? You got to fight Fenrir. You beat Fenrir. Oh shit! You can now summon Fenrir. You know, like how it was in Final Fantasy 11. In Final Fantasy 11, some of the summons that you were able to get, you had to beat them in a boss battle before you could get it. You know, like, I love that shit. Bring that back. You know, but no, they just want to be fucking Devil May Cry with bullshit summon powers for weapons. You know, it's so gay. I hate that shit, man. Bring it back. Get back to your Final Fantasy roots. You get back to that. I think that would be amazing. You know, you don't have to necessarily go fantasy, like high fantasy, although I would love for them to return to a world like Final Fantasy 9. I would love that. Like, bring that back. Let's go fantasy. But if you don't want to do that, that's fine. There are some great Final Fantasies that weren't fantasy worlds. You know, you got the steampunk world of Final Fantasy 7. You got the more militaristic, futuristic world of Final Fantasy 8 with Balam Garden and all that shit. Like, you got all that. You know, you don't have to go super high fantasy. I would love if you did. I would love a classic VV Black Mage. Give me that shit. You know what I mean? It was great. But in any case, when I see these numbers from Expedition 33, it just makes me look and say, this could have been Square Enix. This could have been Square Enix. Expedition 33 is about to sell 3 times more than Final Fantasy 16. Guys, what world do we live in? What world do we fucking live in where that is the thing? That should never have been a thing. Seriously. It should never have been a thing. Like, how are it? This is publicly embarrassing. But this is where we're at. So I think, keep in mind, guys, Square Enix actually flew out the Expedition 33 team after the success of 33. They flew them out and they had them join their studio for like a couple of days. And there were some discussions that were had. I don't know what they were. Nobody knows what they were. All I hope is that the Square Enix team got fucking humbled. That's all I hope. And, you know, it has to happen to the best of us. That's fine. We all get humbled eventually one day. I hope that they got humbled. And I hope they realize that all the people they've been listening to have been lying to them the entire time. Which I kind of feel like they have. Because if you guys don't know, you know, after 33 came out, that's ironically around the time where Kate got fired and a lot of people like that got fired from the Final Fantasy 14 team. And there was a lot of changes being made and whatnot, especially when it came to localization. There was a lot of different things that were being done. I hope that this humbles them to the point where I'm not asking them to just go back and remake older games. I don't want that. I'm asking them for the next Final Fantasy to just go back to their roots and maybe don't be so fucking scared to explore something like Expedition 33 did. You know? That's what I'm hoping. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. But whoever they've been listening to this entire time has been lying to them. Straight up. They've been lying to them. Their Western, whatever bullshit you want to call it, localization team has been lying to them. They've all been getting lied to. You've been listening to people that don't have your best interests at heart. I know, like, the biggest decision they're going to have to make is that whether or not Final Fantasy 17 is going to be action or turn-based. After the success of Expedition 33, I am going to say on record that I think it's going to be action. I still don't believe it's going to be turn-based, unfortunately. So, we'll see. Air Razor says, I'm going to disagree with Hypno there. The longer a franchise goes on, the worse it tends to get. Even if they stuck to the Final Fantasy formula, a game like 33 was inevitable. I never said that it was never going to come out. Competition always comes out no matter what, no matter how good you are. There's always going to be someone trying to compete with you. The difference is that Expedition 33, so many people, I know that a lot of people bought that game because of word of mouth about that game and how that game was essentially the Final Fantasy that people have always been wanting for the last couple of years now. So many people were saying that. So many fucking people were saying that. So many people were comparing it to Final Fantasy, and they're like, this is the Final Fantasy I've been asking for. That would not have happened if Final Fantasy was giving people what they wanted. You know? That kind of reaction would not have happened. Would the game exist? Yeah, of course. Of course the game would exist. But the reaction that the game had in that aspect would not have happened if Final Fantasy was still delivering the way that it was supposed to. Especially since Expedition 33 went back to the roots of JRPGs and Final Fantasy, right? It went back to the roots and it evolved it. Whereas Final Fantasy abandoned their roots. They abandoned it completely. And that causes that level of reaction. Where Final Fantasy say, yeah, fuck all this. Fuck the turn-based combat. Westerners don't like it. Fuck the summon system. We're going to simplify it. Fuck the party system. We're only going to give you Clyde. Fuck all of it. And then here's Expedition 33. It says, yeah, okay, well, we're going to give you a party system. We're going to give you characters you care about. We're going to give you an insane plot twist at the beginning. We're going to give you a story you care about. We're going to give you turn-based combat, but we're going to evolve it. We're going to add some action in there. But we're still going to keep it turn-based. I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like I just talk to myself about this shit because I don't know, man. I don't know. I have a long history with Final Fantasy, so I get a little bit more. I don't know. I get a little more passionate, I suppose, about that. So I don't know. We'll see. Oh man, I swear. Hold on. Okay, so anyway, let's see. We got. I think a lot have just forgotten about Persona series. It's a really good term. No, I mean Persona's great. Persona's great. I'm just talking about legacy though. Like from a legacy standpoint, like Persona's great. Don't get me wrong, but Final Fantasy is just it just has that legacy to it. You know. Okay, Hypno then explained Dragon Quest is not as good either, even with the turn based and whatnot. It's a different franchise though. That's a different franchise. I don't understand. What do you want me? What do you want me to explain about it? What do you want me to explain? Dragon Quest is more popular in Japan than Final Fantasy. Globally, Final Fantasy is probably more popular, but in terms of Japan, Dragon Quest is more popular, which I always found pretty interesting. But culturally speaking, it's more popular in Japan. There is no more fantasy. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Final Fantasy was my childhood too. Final Fantasy 14, you can now play base game and first week expansion for free now. Then you can play for a membership. What do you think about that? I know they added Shadowbringers, right? They added Shadowbringers to the free trial, so that's nice. They do that all the time. Every time they come out with a new what do you call it? A new expansion, they always add they always add one more to the free trial. So I mean that's great. It's good, I suppose. Yeah, and Dragon Quest is still good. Like I don't consider that game to be shit. Like if I had to choose, I would probably pick Final Fantasy, but then again, I'm Western, so I mean that's like the Western answer. If I was Japanese, I'd probably say Dragon Quest, right? So it all depends, you know. It all depends. All right, let's move on, man. But that's basically it for the Final Fantasy story. I don't know, man. Expedition 33, like that game made me so happy. You don't understand. Expedition 33 made me so happy. I love that game. Still one of my favorite games of the last 5 years, but it also made me really fucking mad. Because the entire time I'm playing that, I'm thinking to myself, bro, can you imagine this game? But instead of the characters I have, you got like black mages, you got monks, you got all these fucking like, you got paladins, you got dark knights, you got all these like Final Fantasy things happening, you got summons and shit. I was thinking to myself the entire time, imagine all that, man. Summon system. Oh, man. Fuck Square Enix. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about World of Warcraft. Another MMO. Another.